going to read it because I wrote it down. Even if leadership isn't leading, we do not have to stay alone or remain powerless. Hey teachers, if you've ever worked for a school or an admin or a district that made you feel completely powerless, then this is the episode for you, because we're going to talk about the power of connection, the power of community, and the power of coaching that not only will transform your teaching career, but it will transform your entire life. This is part 2 of our interview with Dr. Lisa Pender. If you haven't seen part 1, check it out. It's right up there at the top. But for now, let's get back to the conversation. So we just get fixated on all the things that we don't want. And that does that like create a loop in our brain to where we can't really articulate what we do want. And I hate to throw a plug in here, but I'm going to, that both of us serve as coaches to other teachers around the world. And that is the importance of coaching, isn't it? Is that somebody from the outside can interrupt the loop that takes place in our brain. Am I off track on that?
You are spot on. In fact, a lot of the times, and I don't have it with me right now, which makes me sad, but I use a fidget spinner to spin it. And I tell my clients, we need to just stop that spinner in its place, because what happens is that loop takes over and then everything stinks. Home stinks, our personal relationships. I mean, it impacts everything. There are a lot of times with clients that they'll start off the session with everything that went wrong, and I stop them and I say, no, we're not going down that route. We can't. It's not helping anything. So it's reframing and definitely helping with that refocus. And there's a huge ripple. When you can have that internal peace, that ripples out into everything. Your classroom's going to be different. Your kiddos are going to be different. Your home life is going to be different. But it's a major shift, and it's totally worth it.
It absolutely is. I can distinctly recall. Now, I didn't call it this at the time, but I can recall going through the recognized stage of trying to get out of the burnout cycle. And it took about 4 months or so in my garage to really recognize what was literally killing me. And it took a little bit longer to be able to reframe it so that I could figure out what I even wanted. And a lot of that came through the conversations that you and I had in your office, where I was on the verge of doing all kinds of illegal stuff that would probably cost me my certificate that we won't talk about here, where it's recorded for the entire world to see. But those conversations and that coaching is what brought about that process. And now, I'm able to articulate it into 5 R's. And I find that that's a continuous process, those 5 R's. It's not like it's not linear. You do it once, it's circular. You do it over and over and over, because before long, the next issue comes along that begins to drain you. And if you don't deal with it, it's going to cause a problem. Now, with that being said, what you and I are big on is this: micro communities of support. How can we build micro communities of support in our school? And do you have an example of a micro community in a school that has been beneficial? Can you name any of that?
So I have a few. I'll start down south. So there was a group of us. We ran. It was called an autism cluster. It was 5 separate classrooms inside an elementary school of almost 1,300 students. It was huge. And we had to learn to stick together, because it was a lot of tough days, a lot of bites, hits, bruises, scratches. We were physically beaten up every day. It really could have there were days where I didn't know if I wanted to go back. But because of the connections that I built with my coworkers, that I call some of them my best friends today, that's what brought it through. Again, finding a way to smile every day was definitely a motto. So fast forward a few years, change entire everything to move to a new county, new school, middle high school versus elementary school. And I found my llamas. So funny enough, llamas is something
Llamas.
that I don't even know how, I don't even really know how it came up, but we are like we love our llama. Oh, no drama llama. That's why, because I have a bag that says no drama llama. And that's kind of what we ran with. And it's amazing because we've eaten many, many peanut M&Ms and Reese's peanut butter cups over just saying, oh my gosh, today's a crazy day. But we
Mhm.
laughed, right? Because we knew we were there for each other. And we recognize when somebody's having a really rough day and maybe bring the whole candy bucket to them. But
Mhm.
it's again, I know I sound like a broken record, but it's connections. And
Right.
if you, so this is, it goes, it's a two-way street. We can always try to be alone and just go do our own thing. Well, I'm just going to put my head down and I'm coming in today and getting it done. Okay. But that's not going to really get you further in life. It's going to be a loop.
No.
It's making those connections. And then you
Yeah.
find out, oh my gosh, you went through the same thing that I'm going through. Or, oh, wait, you talked to that parent and that worked. Let me try. I've
I
never
think
understood why we don't share more best practices. Okay, sorry.
that is exactly the approach that I took years ago. Is I'm just going to put my nose to the grindstone and I'm going to go do
Yep.
this. I'm going to earn whatever it is that I get. And it nearly, and I was completely isolated. As you know, I was the toxic employee that nobody wants in their organization. That is exactly what I turned into.
Mm.
And I guess it was because I ate so many peanut M&Ms in your office that we were able to work through a lot of those issues. And that's what I want here, or what I want people to hear, is this phrase right here. I'm going to read it because I wrote it down. Even if leadership isn't leading, we do not have to stay alone or remain powerless. The power of connection and the power of community. It is a healing salve
Mhm.
that is applied daily, and over time, it seems to change the condition, not the condition of the organization, not the condition of the circumstances, but the condition of the individual. And hey, teacher, I don't want to take time away from our conversation, but I do want to ask you, if you found any value or any encouragement in our first segments right there, would you consider go ahead and subscribing and follow along with Teacher Talk? Also, if you look down in the description box, there's all kinds of free resources down there that we want you to have. They're specifically for you and specifically for teachers. And more than that, if you like these types of talks and specifically the issue of burnout and need more help, look at the top. There's linked videos up there and you can check them out. Now, back to Lisa. Am I seeing it right? Or am I nuts? Or is that just
No,
my experience? It just be my
no,
experience. I don't know.
I think it's completely accurate. I've been in hundreds of different schools, whether I was working for them or going in and observing students for clients. And I can tell you this, uh, the culture is super important. Parents sense it the minute they walk in. That front office is super important. And
Yes.
if they sense that there's any kind of toxicity, the parents pick it up. I always say it's almost like a dog. A dog will know if, how the people are and if this is a safe person or not. They just sense it. It's those spidey senses going on. And
Mm-hmm.
it's huge. And one thing too, I hope that people can take away is sometimes we put a lot of pressure on our admin to be the leaders and they just don't have the skills, if we're going to be honest. But allow the people in your organization that have the skills to
That's right.
lead.
That's right.
Let them be the leaders. If and that's when things like Funshine and all the different like organizations where teachers come together to create a positive environment, an encouraging environment, like let that really manifest and be part of your organization. And I think that's huge. And it's recognizing all of us, recognizing our strengths and our weaknesses. And I go back to that amazing principal who said, I hire for my weaknesses. And he pointed to his assistant principals. He had 3 at the time. One
Mm-hmm.
was computer savvy, one was into athletics. That was her jam.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other was very into all the legal requirements of admin.
Yeah.
And he could say, that's what they do. And I just thought that was amazing.
Mhm.
that he recognized
Well,
that.
that's like the whole concept of John Maxwell's 360 leader is the idea that no
Mhm.
matter where you are in the organization, there
Mhm.
are various skills. And from those positions, you can lead and you can
Mhm.
make things better. You know, I'm going to put you on the spot just a little bit right here because I'm a burned out teacher, and
Mhm.
I've come to your office. I'm laying on the couch. My hand is on my head, and I have said, "Woe is me, woe is me. The end of the world is on the way." And really quick, what are the 3 practical steps that you would suggest to me, the burned out teacher, for reducing burnout today? What would they be?
All right. First and foremost, let's reframe it. Tell me what you want. I know what you don't want. You don't want to feel like this anymore. So tell me what you do want to feel like. And we're going
I,
to literally write that out.
I want to be
So,
able to, yes, I want to be able to go to work and enjoy my day, no matter how difficult it is, no matter what the circumstances are. I just simply want to enjoy my work. That's what I want.
so I'm going to ask you, do you have that peace at all at any time during your day? Exactly what you're talking about.
At the end of the day, when I go home,
Okay.
that's
So
the,
good.
that's the best that I can come up with.
So at least you know it. So when you
Mhm.
wake up in the morning, what are you telling yourself?
That I absolutely do not want to go to work.
There you go. So we have a choice every morning. We can wake up and say, "Good morning, Lord," or we could wake up and say, "Good Lord, it's morning." You're waking up and saying, "Good Lord, it's morning." So,
Yes, I'm waking up wanting to roll back over and use
yes,
up all my sick leave.
right. Okay. And I totally get it. So this is when you have to flood your mind with different things. So you have to flood your mind. So this is one of the things I recommend quite frequently. And I don't know if I can show you. Oh, no. Let's see.
Mhm.
So this is my phone, and you can
Yeah.
see all throughout the day that I have different scripture and encouraging words to
Mhm.
remind me of what my focus is.
Mhm.
So the first thing I'm going to tell you is you got to shift your focus. Yes, I know you don't like your job. Yes, I know you don't want to wake up and go there every day, but right now, for whatever reason, you do. So what's the focus? The focus has been negative. Let's switch it a bit. So, for instance, at 11:11, it says, "My connection with God leads me to the best possible outcome. I release my worries and I trust divine order. I'm centered on the presence of God." Boom.
Mhm.
So, every so often, these things pop up. So, again, I'm bringing in things that are going to bring me peace because right now you have a pattern that's been established of I wake up, ew, I don't want to go to work. We need it to be, I wake up, it's going to be a different day. And then this is some of the things that will help it be a different day. And maybe you talk to somebody at work. Maybe you listen to something different on the way to work. There's a million
Mhm.
strategies, but definitely the first thing is, like you said, we're going to recognize and we're going to reframe.
So Pete Scazzaro, in his book Emotionally Healthy Leadership, he suggests that you take what he calls a daily office, and he really
Mm,
wants you to work up to like 20 minutes. He suggests that you start at 5, and it's like a period of total silence where you have something like what you just said right there, a thought or a scripture, and you just simply meditate on that idea. So is that kind of what you're talking about right there, is finding like daily office throughout the day where you take micro breaks to
it,
refocus yourself?
absolutely. So again, I'm very faith-based in what I
Mhm.
do
We are too.
and right. And so it's very important, like even if we look at what is it? Philippians 4:8, the whatevers, right?
Mhm.
So it tells us whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable. If
Mhm.
anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things.
Yes.
So if we're not thinking about them, that's where some of the problem is.
So that's a complete mindset
Complete.
shift. I
It
should have
is.
said mindset. I said mind shift though, didn't I? You see, I'm not a good patient at all. I wouldn't make a good. All right.
You're
So
amazing.
all right. So I'm going to work on changing my mindset and my thought process. Step 1. What is step 2?
So step 2 is also understanding that this is a piece that's internal. It's recognizing what I can control versus what I can't control. Which is huge because especially as educators, we want to control our classroom. We want to control outcomes. We want to control a lot of
Mhm.
things, but it's recognizing and relinquishing a lot of that control, which I think is super powerful. And it's being unbothered by what is coming against us. It's not being emotional. It's not that reaction. It's more of a thoughtful response. It's taking that time and stepping back.
Mhm.
Um, so really kind of that next thing is understanding what you can control versus what you can't. And then it's recognizing what patterns, because oftentimes when I do talk to teachers, we can see this pattern at home, or maybe it's with a parent, or maybe it's a relationship, or maybe it was in a previous job. So this pattern keeps coming up. So that's why it's so important that we can see what's going on, and then in order to figure out what we want different and do different in the future.
I can remember at the height of my burnout being so internally angry.
Mhm.
I was angry at parents that made false accusations. I was
Mhm.
angry at other colleagues who disapproved all the time. I was angry because there was absolutely, from my perspective, no support and simply being sold out and thrown underneath the bus. Those are my feelings. I'm not saying that they're true, just saying that's where I was at. And I remember the day that I was set free from that anger. It's number one, it is the day that I laid non-negotiable boundaries and
Mhm.
refused to negotiate those boundaries. But it's the second thing is this. Is I just took on Mel Robbins' theory. Let them. Just let
Mhm.
them. Okay, let them. Because there isn't a John Brown thing that you can do about anything that anybody else does. And what is so ironic about that is I spend my day dealing with sixth graders who just had something mean said about them and they're crying and they want a bullying report. And I have to say, let them. And I have
Mhm.
to use this analogy all the time. I look at them and say, if you were making the most important decision of your life, would you go and ask that person their opinion? They're like, no. And I'm like, why? Because their opinion doesn't matter. And I'm like, why does it matter so much now? Okay.
Mhm.
And I said that for years and could not take my own advice. All right. So I'm going to shift, right? I'm going to have a mindset shift. Number two, I'm going to let them go. I'm going to let these angry feelings go because I can't control these other people. I can only control me. What's step number three?
So, step number 3 is then using strategies. And that's when all these things kind of come together. So, sometimes you might need somebody. It's more than just a course or more than just a book. You might
Mhm.
actually need that coach. If Tom
Yeah.
Brady, this is what I always say, if Tom Brady needed a coach, we all need a coach. I mean, and I'm going to get a lot of hate comments, but I think he is the
Yeah.
greatest quarterback, and I am not a football fan. But, anyways,
Holy crap.
so that,
I thought it was Brett Favre.
oh, well, anywho, we won't go there. But what I'm saying is any of these people need coaches, right? Tiger Woods, the greatest golfer, Michael Jordan, the
Mhm.
greatest basketball player. I mean, again,
Yep.
a lot of different things we can argue about, but if all these people need coaches, why don't we need a coach? And that's where I think
Mhm.
step 3 comes into, is making a connection, whether
Yes.
it's with a coworker, a peer, it might be a family member, but it could also be a coach, because that coach is going to be pretty
Mhm.
real. And there's been many times in my sessions that I've had to go, stop, no, and really kind of, I'm a little more forward when I work with people, because this isn't kid gloves. A mind shift is definitely something that's pretty powerful. It's taking that mindset and flipping it on its head.
Mhm.
And that's not a bad thing.
Mhm.
So I think sometimes that third thing is getting somebody.
So one of the things that most people don't know, I think you do. I think we've talked about this. I spent one time a week for an entire year in coaching and
Mhm.
then back down to twice a month and then eventually once a month. And now I don't know if I'm set free from it or not, but nearly 3 years of my life I had to spend in coaching to try to get past. I simply could not get past what I was going through. I mean, it took 2.5 years to even start to feel like I was okay. I mean,
Mhm.
a paralyzed face. I mean, I'm slobbering at the mouth. I can't blink my eyes. My face is
Mhm.
sideways. I mean, you were there, you saw it.
Mhm.
And I I don't know why more teachers don't have some sort of a community or some sort of a coach. I absolutely 100% recommend, if you don't have a coach, to find somebody that can help you, because
Mhm.
those are indeed the three things. You simply, it's just an issue that you can't get out of yourself. And so the way most teachers are trying to get out of it is to quit,
Mhm.
right? The problem is quitting does not solve the problem, because the brain is literally locked in a fight or flight mode similar to PTSD,
Mhm.
and you can't break the cycle
Right.
necessarily by yourself. So whether it's somebody like me or somebody like you, or whether it's your pastor at church or whoever it is, or the guy on the corner, whatever, you got to get with somebody. And that is exactly what brought me to Teacher Talk. That's why I do
Mhm.
what I do. It's why we're having this interview. It's why we connect with as many thousands of people as we possibly can. So let me ask you this. How can we tie all this together? Because again, I'm going to go back to the admin, and I know our intro is kind of funny and it's meant to be that way, but I know that they have tough demands placed on them. There's a lot of demands above their heads that are so demanding that it will not allow them necessarily to focus on people, although they always say it's about people. And so, from that perspective, how does a community build resilience? Because that's a buzzword today, resilience. How does
Mm.
a community in a school build resilience? I mean, tell me about that.
Well, I think again, I would hope that the administration would be open to different ideas in order to create connections
Hmm.
within their school to facilitate resiliency, but also to encourage one another. If for some reason that administration can't do that for whatever reason, I encourage teachers to create it themselves. I mean, there is definitely a way that you can motivate each other, encourage each other, and a lot of the times bring families in that want to be a part of that. They
Right.
want there to be a good school, a happy school, a peaceful school, because that's where their kids spend so much time. They want that as well. I saw a great example. Again, I go back to being an autism coach. We created a community. I mean, it
Hmm.
was tough. We had a lot of really hard things going on in all of our lives. And these parents were amazing. And we came together. And to this day, people talk about that community, and people go to that school based on something that's almost 20 years old. It's that powerful. So while yes, we can look to our leaders, we can be hopeful for our leaders, but ultimately, what are you bringing to the table? And make sure you're healthy enough that you're bringing the right things to the table.
That's right. I was not healthy enough back in the day. I was not bringing the right things to the table. So, Doc, as we try to land this plane, all right,
Mhm.
if you were able to sit across the table from a struggling teacher, what words of encouragement would you have for them right now? What would you say to the teacher that's burnout, ready to quit, has become toxic, is falling apart at the job, is falling apart at home? What would you say to them?
Well, the first thing I would tell them is that they are awesome for even just showing up every day. And I know how tough that can be, but that they're not alone. That's the bottom line. You're not alone.
That's a
And
fact.
that is a fact. And I
Mhm.
would work super hard to be connecting with them, checking in with them,
Mhm.
making sure they're connecting, whether it's their grade level, subject area, whatever, somehow create that connection. And then also, maybe I need to create something at that school that would be able to bring us all together. I don't care if it's a night out, if it's a luncheon, whatever it might be. But again, it starts with that one small pebble that drops and ripples out. So I really don't want them to feel like they're alone, because they're not. So I want them to understand that I care for them and I'm connected to them. And
Mhm.
I would encourage a million different strategies, and whichever one seems to really resonate with them, that's what I would hope that they would start to put into place. And I would just be checking in on them to make sure that they can make it happen.
So I think that that is the best thing that can be said in this situation, is that you're not alone. And it's
Mhm.
true, because 59% of America's teachers say that they're burned out. Over 60% of teachers say if they could find another job, they would leave today.
Mhm.
Uh, the only thing that I would add to that is I would point out that you're not the fault. You're not the problem. The
Mhm.
system is the problem. There is a system in public education that brings this to its inevitable end.
Mhm.
Administrators are stacked. Teachers are stacked. Students are stacked. Families are stacked far beyond their ability to complete the tasks that are in front of them. And
Mhm.
that only leads to the inevitable place, burnout. And
Mhm.
so the only way to survive it is, like you said, we got to have a mind shift. We got to get rid of the negative, but we need people. Would you agree with
Mhm.
that?
Absolutely. 100%.
Absolutely. Doc, is there any way that people can reach out to you? Are you on TikTok, or you got a website, or what you
Well,
working on?
actually, yes, I do. I am on TikTok. It is, and Instagram. It's all about solutions, and the same thing with it's. I can be reached that way. I also, my email is dr for Dr. Lisa, Lisa, Pender, Pinder at gmail.com. And I would love to hear from you. I'd love to talk a little bit more and hear what's going on in your school. Because again, I'm going to go back to, we need to hear more of best practices. We need to hear more that is working, because there are a lot of schools where things are working. So let's build on the things that are working, and kind of, again, there's that mind shift, right? So
Yes,
move away from all the stuff that isn't. Let's talk about what is working.
absolutely. Well, Doc, we sure appreciate you coming in, and we sure appreciate everybody listening to us. And again, this is Teacher Talk, and you can reach us at Teacher Talk with John on all socials. And we try to be encouraging and try to lift our teachers up, because teaching is tough, but it shouldn't be. Most of all, what Doc and I want you to do is to stay strong and keep teaching.